Right. Hey, welcome back, guys. All right, Saggies, let's get into this. We came through that full moon, and now we've got a sunrise behind me because I feel like it'd be nice to see, if a full moon is about releasing things, then this backdrop is all about, what the new glow is. We have got the Lover's alignment, which is just the Lover's card, Gemini energy, and we have the Three of Pentacles, and that is sideways. Okay, so this is actually really lovely. I feel like Sag has a new perspective on love, a new perspective on companionship, on, offering. And part of giving of ourselves is also we've got to learn how to receive. And perhaps, um, look, I don't know if this is right or not. So just know this is just the vibe I get off of these cards. I'm not saying this is accurate in any way, shape, or form. And I do not give life advice. I'm a fictional storyteller. But perhaps Sag has learned to pay attention when they fall for somebody, or even if this is just them evaluating their current relationship. What is it that that person offers me? Am I receiving what they offer me? Basically, we could talk about the languages of love. Because if we fall for somebody and we're like, I want to give them this and this and this and this and this because this is how I show them that I love them. But wait a minute, why aren't they doing that for me? This might be Sag recognizing that they do other nice things to show me that they love me. Finding the person that either, you know, gives us what we're seeking so that we can feel nurtured, or simply recognizing the way they express and the way they give, and then evaluating and saying is like, am I blocking what they're giving and ignoring half of the beautiful things they do for me because it wasn't my love language? I feel like Sag is not blocking anything. I feel like Sag is like really open to this. We've got this wonderful relationship, right, between the human who's planting the flowers, and then his honeybees are over here, and he's making sure that the bees have access to the flowers by planting them in the first place, and then the bees in turn, will provide him with honey. It's very much a reciprocating relationship here, and kind of everybody benefits. That seems to be the way, I'm going to say, Sagi's whole perspective has shifted, especially during this timeline of personal growth. We've got a Four of Swords. It is sideways. Four of Swords sideways says, oh my God, there's so much healing. Just there can be a lot of healing and a lot of, you know, come here, good boy. Come here, my good boy. That was wonderful. Good boy. Good boy. Sorry, sometimes my baby is hard at work, and yeah, I like to tell him that he did good. Yes, he did. There's a lot of healing for an entire relationship or for both people involved. There's like understanding between two people. And I would say it's not just on Sag's part. Now, Sag could be dealing with an earth sign. They could be dealing with a Gemini. They could be dealing with an air sign. Let's keep moving. Sorry for the little interruption, by the way, of my pups. We have the Lovers again coming out of this second deck. And we have the Nurturer of Swords. Okay, so definitely strong air energy. And you notice that these Lovers, again, are nose to nose, face to face. This is two people that want to move toward each other. This is two people that are ready to have really important conversation. Now, I'm thinking that thankfully, maybe perhaps during this last full moon, whomever Sag is in love with, let's just go ahead, since we got the Lovers card twice, let's say this air sign person, possibly stronger on the Gemini vibe. But keep in mind, the Gemini are the twins. So perhaps that's a better way to look at this, is like Sag and this other person are mirroring each other. They're very cut from the same cloth, and they both kind of had some of the same epiphanies. You know what I would like? I would like to connect to you. I would like to collaborate with you. I would like to be in the same energy as you, receive what you have to offer, understand you better. This is awesome. This is a chance for either new romance to really build something strong, or a romance that had trials and tribulations. Sometimes they were not speaking the same language. Sometimes they got into arguments. They felt sad. They felt hurt. And that might have all been a bit of an illusion. I don't know that it looks like either one of these individuals in this storyline ever tried to disrespect or disregard one another's feelings. I think we were just dealing with a storyline where two people completely connected in different ways. We have a 9 of Wands upright. Lot of healing, a lot of healing. This is beautiful. I think that we're going to have a really important heart-to-heart conversation, possibly initiated by Sag, but I think the response they're going to get is from this other person, like, oh my God, I've been like sitting and thinking about this so much. Like, yes, sometimes we have conflict and then we go into silence with each other, but honestly, I think we care about each other. We just have different ways of expressing it. You know, maybe I've had some wounds, and so if somebody doesn't express something exactly perfectly to me, I freak out, go off the handle. You know, I didn't hear what you meant. I couldn't see it, how you were, you know, trying to love me. 9 of Swords. I really think that both characters, both Sag and this other person, have perhaps been very stressed out anytime there's conflict, but haven't known how to avoid having the conflict. We know both people love each other. We know both people in this storyline are in love. They want things to work. They want to share energy. If that were not true, if one person were just this, you know, oh, I could care less, I disregard your feelings, it doesn't matter to me if you're here or not, that is not what this storyline is. This is only for lovers that really care about each other, but they haven't been able to get things to work out smoothly. And they've been really stressed out anytime that they have conflict. And I'm thinking their conflict was starting to be continual. They were continuously, like, instead of reinforcing that they loved each other, they might have been reinforcing each other's wounds a little bit without meaning to. And we got this beautiful 8 of Cups. That 8 of Cups is like, yes, maybe they did have to acknowledge my biggest fear is that you're going to walk away from me. And pride has been there, and the fear of being left behind. But then we also had both characters needing to go into their inner temple and acknowledge, like, what's my biggest fear? Maybe neither person was being fully like aware of what the other one needed to feel safe, to feel wanted. You know, sometimes it's really hard to vocalize, well, what I want is for you to tell me that you like me, that you want me here, that you don't want to leave me. And we tell each other that in a million little nonverbal ways, right? But if every time we're around our partner, all we get is this clash, all we get is this constant stress, we constantly are, without knowing it, you know, doing just exactly the opposite of what they needed to feel safe, because we didn't know what their love language was and they didn't know ours. They could have been reinforcing the fears instead of reinforcing, like, but I want to be with you. I hate it when we have conflict because all it says is it makes me doubt whether or not you want to be with me, and are you going to leave me? That seems to be, I don't know, I feel like that's very relatable. Even the worry about that's hard to access because it's buried pretty deep. But then also the lack of ability to, like, vocalize the fear, but also the lack of ability to understand what was it that you needed from me. What's your language of love, so that I can reassure you, because these two want to be with each other. I mean, they totally want to be together. We got a King of Wands. It is in the reverse. Definitely one person might have thought the other one was being selfish. They might have thought Sag was being really selfish and didn't want to be with them. And once we start thinking negative stuff about our partner, like, you're selfish, you're karmic, you're this, you're that, you're hurting me, my feelings are hurt and you don't even care. So now we're like heaping more pain upon ourselves. Like, you know, you said this, you did this, you're so selfish, and you don't care about my feelings. And this is how you've just hurt me. It does feel like there was a moment where they might have been vilifying Sag because they didn't understand how Sag was showing them that they loved them, or Sag was starting to withdraw because Sag is like, I don't know what they want from me. Oh God, Five of Swords and the Lovers again. Yeah. I kind of think in this storyline, everything Sag did was like wrong. Not that it was actually wrong, but in this other person's mind, it was like, you only care about you. You don't care about how I want to be loved. You're selfish. You're fighting with me. I think Sag was like, I have no idea how to fix this weird hostile boundary that exists between us. What happened? Like, all I wanted to do was love you. Um, that song by Rilo, Got a Thing for You. Um, I'm just trying to love you, baby. I don't know what the fuck you're used to. That's that's the line that is in my head right now. Ace of Cups. See, on Sagi's side, it's like it feels like they won't let me express love to them. I don't know what I'm doing wrong here. I don't think Sag has been doing anything wrong. I think that this person has been, and with that Gemini card coming out 3 times now, right? The lovers 3 times. I'm thinking that either they have some unhealed trauma, and maybe this is primarily on their part, where no matter what Sag does, it somehow isn't going to be good enough because they've set up like an emotional obstacle course in their head of the things that Sag has to do to prove that they care about them. You know, it's like, how are you going to jump over this, do this, show me that? How are you going to do all of that and show me that you care? And if you fail on any of the things in my brain's checklist of what you need to do to show me that you care about me, then I'm going to say you don't care, you're selfish, and you're causing me, pain, and you don't want to be with me. That seems to be the hostile energy that suddenly came between these two. Now, it may have been primarily on their side, I have to say, because it does look like Sag is a little bit confused about where did the love go. I've tried to be loving, but if they did not understand Saggy's love language, maybe Sag is one having this breakthrough and understanding this now. Oh my God, wait a minute. Let me just ask, how did Sag feel about them and the way they displayed love? Page of Swords sideways, they were trying to figure it out and they were befuddled. This is, if it were fully upright, it would be like, well, I'm observing and I'm patiently trying to learn. Here, it's like, I don't know what I'm looking at. So I do think that this was immensely confusing for both people. 6 of Wands. I think, look, you know how I said it looked like they decided Sag was somehow super selfish, even karmic, not caring. I think Sag was starting to come around to thinking, I think this person's on an ego bender. The 6 of Wands can be confidence or it can be supreme amounts of ego. I believe this person was overcompensating. When they would get their feelings all bent out of shape, they might have acted like they didn't care. They might have acted like nothing bothered them, which was the exact reverse, right? They're dying inside. 10 of Swords. Every time Sag says or does something that they perceive as, you don't care about me, their reaction was to act like, it doesn't matter. Nothing hurts me. They might have gotten sassier. They might have gotten more like swaggery, walking off without Sag and walking into a room without Sag, kind of like, you know what, you don't care about me, well then let me tell you, other people in this room will notice me. They might have started to have that swagger to them, which could have been deeply confusing for Sag. Like, are they just an egomaniac? What is the deal? But it was them trying to say, I don't care that you don't care about me. I did not know this. This is probably the most interesting story that we've had, because we're diving into the subconscious stuff of what was going on. But keep in mind, in this story, we're displaying it all, but this is kind of like the conversation that these two are on the cusp of having. This is, all this needs to be aired out. And I think that these two want to air it out. I'm feeling like we're talking about what already happened. This is what led to them going into silence. Maybe they've been in silence for a while. Maybe a couple months even. Maybe they've gone to see therapists or counselors and try to work through like what on earth just happened between us. Is this somebody that I love, but we couldn't seem to get it right? And now we see, oh, okay, so we couldn't get it right because two people were completely on different pages and not understanding each other's language and getting so much more confused by reactions and interactions. This is, I think it's a fascinating look at how two people that love each other could have something so good go so wrong, and then they start thinking that the other person is a villain, or they erroneously, say, oh, that person's, they're my karmic, they're, selfish. And it's like neither person is actually selfish, but they definitely had not yet been able to get into the same vibe. Yeah, Ace of Swords. It was just what they didn't know about each other. Maybe they didn't have the right conversation to be like, hey, if something that I said just hurt you and it makes you swagger and walk away from me, I don't know what it was, but I never intended to. I really thought you were wonderful, but it seems like you're walking away and swaggering on from me. Did I say something? Did I do something, that made you pull away, or that I hurt you somehow? I mean, I'm not saying that it should have to be just, okay, Sag has to walk on eggshells, run around. Did that upset you? Did that upset you? But when two people care about each other and they don't quite have, nobody has the same exact life experiences. So the battlefield that we all come from, the wounds that we all have, the communication style that is comfortable for us could be so different. And perhaps if both characters, and this is what we keep getting, is both characters actually want to meet in the middle. Both characters, at least at this point in the story, they want to connect, they want to communicate, they don't want to be confused and have all this upheaval and this hurt and pain, thank God. But they will probably always need to, or at least until they know each other way, way, way better, they'll probably always need to discuss and check in with each other a little bit. They got to learn each other's triggers a little bit. They got to learn when one or the other needs a little bit more, support. They got to know each other's love languages, and they probably have to both be better about reassuring each other. In particular, though, I think that this person needed to communicate what things were hurting their feelings, and not start, putting this label on Sag. You're karmic, you're super selfish, because that's mean to just, decide that about somebody, because really it's your own trigger and you're the one not understanding their actions. Again, I mean, Sag was kind of doing the same thing. I think that they're maybe an egomaniac. Um, but how else are you going to understand who somebody is? You're going to go off of what they're showing you. But in this situation, what was being shown was not actually accurate. I think that this is a storyline where two people are much more gentle, much more loving, and they really want to get on the same page, because there's a lot of love here. They just didn't have the communication with each other yet. They didn't have the comfort zone yet. They didn't understand each other and their love languages or their triggers yet. But they're going to get that worked out, which is really amazing. Neither person in this story tried to hurt the other. They really didn't. They might have unfairly made assumptions about each other, but even that wasn't done to be mean. So, you know what? I kind of love how non-egotistical they are. The fact that they're going to go ahead and come back and talk about all the right stuff now, and maybe really be able to salvage this, because it looks like there's so much love here. All right, I'm going to leave that there. Thank you for being here. Thanks for giving it a thumbs up, subscribing.